Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, and I'm so happy that you are here with me today. We are continuing in our series of job costing and CRMs, especially for roofing companies. So today, if you think about job costing in QuickBooks, that's your first mistake. It does not start in QuickBooks. QuickBooks is where the money is recorded. Today in this video, I'm excited to bring to you, and I have some examples for you too, and roofing CRMs and how they look and how they work. This will help us feel more confident, feel more comfortable when we have to go into a website that we aren't that familiar with. And I know sometimes we have a little bit of resistance there, but I'm going to make it super simple for you today because it is just a process we go through. It's not hard at all. We are just matching our numbers together. Let's talk about where job costing actually begins in a roofing company. Because if this part is set up incorrectly, then nothing connects together. You'll have a lot of errors, you'll have a lot of issues. So it is extremely important, that it is set up correctly from the start, from where you are. Even if a roofing company already has like AccuLink's job numbers, RoofLink, but they haven't synced it to QuickBooks, then we want to make sure in QuickBooks that we're ready over there, that we've cleaned up our products and services, because we want the CRM to actually sync everything over to QuickBooks for us. Especially when you're first just starting this, I only want the CRM, whatever one you choose to use, to sync the invoices over, because as we're going through this process, we're going to check and make sure our invoice got synced over correctly, how it looks in QuickBooks, check some places that we need to check that the invoice went over for one, and then on the invoice, it's showing the correct product code, and then that product code is actually mapped to the correct income that we set up in QuickBooks Online, because you probably have anywhere from 4 to 6 different products in QuickBooks on your profit and loss. And so this is where we're testing the process here to make sure once the invoice was synced over, okay, that looks good. Now when I pull up a profit and loss, that now this is showing on the profit and loss under residential re-roofing or repair roof or metal roofing or wherever it's supposed to be. That's our test pattern there. In the CRM, job costing can be done in QuickBooks. They have projects in QuickBooks, but I only recommend using projects in QuickBooks if they only have 1 or 2 jobs that they work per month. It's pretty easy for you to keep up with. If it goes into over 4 jobs, I'll say, then they need to be in a roofing CRM or a handyman CRM, notified that's for any contractor. AccuLink's Job Nimbus, RoofLink, there's some others out there too. All of those are primary roofing CRMs. But you can get, say that you have a painter, he could be like in Notify. They just don't, Notify just doesn't have the dashboard sense that like AccuLinks would have. And you'll see me referring to AccuLinks a lot in my videos going through this, but I am not a sponsor of AccuLinks, Job Nimbus, RoofLink, any of those. I just have most of my roofers that are in AccuLinks. And so I work in that software system just about every day. That's why I refer to that as just an example. But all of these look very similar to each other. But in the CRM, basically the contractor, they're going to put their bid in there. They're going to put their quote in there. They're going to send from the CRM to the customer the quote, their invoices. The major part of the work is being done by the contractor in the CRM, their salesmen, their managers, and the different people that are involved in the sales process of it. We just need to look things over and make sure they're the correct numbers, and then they're getting over to QuickBooks so we can put it in the profit and loss. We can put it in the money system over here. The contractors will do all of that heavy lifting for you, so you're not having to do that. You have where the jobs are created, where estimates are built, where contracts are set. You'll see the contracts in there, and they set up products and services in there as well. And these products and services will sync over to QuickBooks in our products and services. So this is where you will see them. Anytime you sync the two systems together, especially for the first time, you're going to need to go like in your chart of accounts to make sure that the CRM didn't just drop everything into an account into the chart of accounts. AccuLinks income, AccuLinks expenses. So you want to be looking out for that, because if it does that, then we've got to map everything out and goes into another process there. And I do help you in my system programs where we're working one-on-one together, where I will show you how to do all of these things. I can't cover that in this video in the depth, and it depends on the customer, and we come up with processes in all of these things. But I want you to get just like an overview of what is going on so that you can confidently go into a CRM and get payments and see what expenses are, see what jobs are going on, what the communication is in there. So some simple things. If the CRM is not set up correctly, then invoices will be wrong, categories will be wrong, income accounts will be wrong, the biggest thing for us, and the job tracking just breaks, and reports in QuickBooks become unreliable. But in the CRM, the contractor and us, we can go to reports and we can see the profitability of the job just right there. So we see all the income, the revenue that's been billed out. We can see the expenses, the labor, the permits, everything there. And then it will give us a percentage of what the profit was, whether it was 30% profit, 50% profit. So we can keep increasing income on each job. Okay. But if the CRM is not set up correctly in QuickBooks, QuickBooks is just reporting bad information. So we don't want bad information, okay? But the CRM is your operational system for the contractor. QuickBooks is the financial reporting, or the money, what I call the money reporting in the whole system. I always keep it simple when we're first starting. Like I said, we only sync invoices from the CRM into QuickBooks, because for the first month, we're really just testing out to make sure everything is coming over, that there aren't any errors, because sometimes there are errors, duplicate names, and QuickBooks won't accept it. So you do need to make sure that you don't have any integration errors. And that will always be in the integrations and settings part of the CRM that you can check, and they'll say whether or not it was synced to QuickBooks. I've got some samples together here for you with the help of AI as well. Since these CRMs don't generally offer us as bookkeepers, up at the top, you'll see like the details. Usually this is the worksheet, your estimates, material schedule. So it will look something like this. And you can see the open tasks, the payments, the documents, if you ever needed to look at documents, okay? But this is kind of like what the job itself would look like, the dashboard. And then here is what we look at. We can go to our reports and then go to payments. And then we can see the date, the customer, the job number, how a payment was made, and in the amount that it was made, okay? So then we could at any point, if we needed to click on this job because maybe it didn't get synced to QuickBooks yet, we can click on that job and then we can create the invoice and sync it over to QuickBooks. Okay? Because sometimes the guys, they will invoice from the worksheet and not create the invoice. So we want to get the invoice recorded in the CRM, but we aren't sending it to the customer in the CRM. Okay. We're just creating that invoice just to get it recorded and synced to QuickBooks. But that's what it would look like in AccuLinks. And then I'm going to go down a little bit further. And then this would kind of look like if we did have to sync the invoice, where you've got communications, you've got their worksheet, that's how they created the build on it, the estimate on it, your invoice, and any documents, okay? For communications, sometimes if you think for sure you saw in the bank fee, we received a payment and the payment isn't showing in the payments up here, then we can go and look at communications and see all the emails back and forth with the customers. And then the guy saying, okay, we picked up the check today. So that helps you knowing whether or not it's happened or this job is in progress. But the main part here you'll have to do is go to the invoice and then you just click on it and you will be syncing that invoice, recording that invoice. And Job Nimbus works about the same way. I brought up both of these just so you could see the comparison. That's what AccuLinks looks like. And this is what Job Nimbus looks like. Things are just in a little different area here, leads, jobs won, and that type of thing. But it's basically the same information. You're going to do the same thing. So in the dashboard, you would still go to the job, go to the invoices, and so on. And then their payments would look basically the same thing as well, the payments received. And we can look at payments received and we can look at expenses. Okay. So I did want to share that with you of what they do look like. So if you're ever having to go in there, you have a roofer that is using one of those systems or a contractor using a similar CRM, that will help you get through everything with it. And then we just verify those numbers in QuickBooks as a bookkeeper. Make sure our customer balance is the same as what it is in the CRM, whichever CRM that they are using. That gives you like an overview of what that's about. I do have Bookkeepers Connection that I would love for you to join us on school. And so I'll have that link in the description. Bookkeepers Connection, you'll meet some roofers, you'll meet some bookkeepers. I have some training in there for you, a course that I created just doing bookkeeping for contractors. And so you can take a look at that. I do monthly live meetings over there as well that go a little bit more in depth. And then I answer your questions after I've done the training so that you can get all your questions answered as well. I hope you will join us over at Bookkeepers Connection, and I look forward to seeing you next time in our next video. And this will be ending our series on the job costing, but this is really important to learn how to do job costing for contractors. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.